The 96th Annual Academy Awards ceremony honoring achievements in the field of cinematography for the year 2023 is scheduled to take place on March 10, 2024 at the Dolby Theatre in Hollywood, Los Angeles, California. New rules aimed at enhancing diversity will be introduced at this ceremony. Actor in a supporting role, Sterling Kelby Brown, American Fiction. In the plot of this comedic drama, Thelonious Monk Ellison, a renowned writer and literature professor, is criticized for his works being not black enough. In an attempt to capture the audience's attention, he writes an anonymous novel incorporating all stereotypes about the African-American population in the United States. The book instantly becomes a sensation, and now Monk must personally deal with the extensive consequences. The actor's portrayal of Cliff Ellison is truly outstanding, and while it's challenging to predict victory, the nomination is well-deserved at the very least. Next, Robert De Niro, Killers of the Flower Moon. His portrayal of the cold, cynical, and ruthless William Hale has been duly appreciated. There are high chances of winning in this category. Robert Downey Jr., film Oppenheimer. As you can understand, the competition for victory in this category will be fierce. The fourth nominee, Ryan Gosling for the role of Ken in the film Barbie. It's not surprising considering the buzz around Barbie. Brace yourselves, you'll be hearing a lot more about Barbie in this video. And finally, the fifth contender for victory, Mark Ruffalo for his role in the film Poor Things, about which I'll provide more details shortly. Actress in a supporting role, Jodie Foster Nyad. This film received little attention in 2024. It tells the 2-hour story of Deanna Nyad, a 60-year-old athlete who, with the help of her best friend and coach Bonnie Stoll, decides to fulfill her lifelong dream of swimming 110 miles across the open ocean from Cuba to Florida. The film premiered at the 50th Telluride Film Festival on September 1st, 2023, had a limited release on October 20th, 2023, and started streaming on Netflix from November 3rd. Devin Joy Randolph, The Holdovers. An enchanting actress and an impeccably played role as Mary Lam, a grief-stricken woman mourning her son who died in the Vietnam War. America Ferrera, Barbie. She has been destined for this nomination for a long time, so it's not surprising. The decision to nominate her character Gloria is a big question mark. Danielle Brooks, The Color Purple. In this film, Sophia is indeed a vibrant character, and the nomination is well deserved. The Color Purple is the story of 3 African-American women supporting each other in challenging conditions in the southern United States in the early 1900s. Emily Blunt for her role in Oppenheimer. The appearance of Florence Pugh in this category would have been more surprising. Since Emily had more screen time and her role was evidently more vibrant and significant, it all makes sense. Adapted screenplay, American Fiction, Oppenheimer, Barbie. Poor Things, The Zone of Interest. You might not be familiar with The Zone of Interest, so let me provide more details about the plot. The story unfolds during World War II in the Auschwitz concentration camp in Poland. The commandant of Auschwitz, Rudolf Höss, and his wife Hedwig strive to build their dream life for their family in a house and garden just beyond the camp's fence. The film depicts the life of a wealthy German family whose prosperity is built on the robbery and murder of Jews in Auschwitz. Formally, the literary basis of the film is Martin Amis's novel of the same name. The film has already grossed over $1.5 million in the American box office and is now making waves at the Oscars. Original screenplay, Anatomy of a Fall, The Holdovers, Maestro, May December, Past Lives. International feature film, The Zone of Interest, United Kingdom. Perfect Days, Japan. The protagonist of the film is a Tokyo toilet cleaner who, in his free time, engages in music and photography. His day starts with taking care of maple seedlings, and later he plants them in the park. At dawn, he sits in his van, turns on his cassette player, and goes to work. Beyond his organized weekdays, he enjoys the music of Lou Reed and Patti Smith, books from the local store, and trees that he captures on his Olympus film camera. A few unexpected encounters shake up the familiar routine of his life. Io Capitano, Italy. The main characters of the film are 2 Senegalese teenagers who embark on a journey from Dakar to Europe. They cross the desert, face the horrors of immigrant camps in Libya, but their main challenge is to somehow cross the Mediterranean Sea. 16-year-old Seydou becomes the captain of the ship, as his age poses no threat in case of encountering Italian authorities. Society of the Snow, Spain. Set in 1972, this film by a Spanish director Juan Antonio Bayona depicts a passenger plane carrying a rugby team that crashes into a glacier in the Andes. Of the 45 people on board, 29 survive, and now they must resort to extreme measures to survive. This film is currently available on Netflix. The Teacher's Lounge, Germany. The film's plot revolves around a young teacher trying to stop a series of thefts in her school. An unexpected exposure of the presumed culprit and the subsequent school investigation under the zero-tolerance policy soon lead to informants, quarrels, and expulsion from school. It's a highly tense story from Germany. Animated feature film The Boy and the Heron. This Japanese anime, with an interesting art style and significant box office success, follows the story of a boy named Mahito who deeply misses his mother and decides to embark on a risky journey to the afterlife. In another reality, the outcome is inevitable, but life takes on a new beginning. Elemental. Not surprisingly, this film is on the list. Given the scarcity of animation this year, it's also the most significant work from Pixar in a long time. In Elemental City, inhabitants of fire, water, earth and air coexist. Ember, a strong and impulsive character, forms a friendship with the easygoing, go-with-the-flow Wade. A friendship that challenges her perceptions of the world around her. Nimona. In this animated Netflix film, a knight is accused of a heinous crime. He teams up with a girl shapeshifter to prove his innocence. However, she might be the monster he swore to destroy. Robot Dreams. This European work by Pablo Berger is a dialogue-free animation. Sitting by the TV in his Manhattan apartment one evening, a dog, unaware that buying a friend robot through an ad will lead to adventures, is forever changed. Animation work began in mid-June 2021 in Madrid, and the film was released at the end of 2023. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. After reuniting with Gwen Stacy, the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man from Brooklyn finds himself in the Spider-Verse, where he meets a team of spider people on a mission to protect the multiverse, Nijimsara. In the face of a new threat, Miles encounters spider people from different universes. There comes a moment when he has to decide what being a hero truly means and to save those he loves the most. Costume design: Barbie, Killers of the Flower Moon, Napoleon, Oppenheimer, Poor Things. The costumes in this movie are truly stunning. The main protagonist, Bella Baxter, in Yorgos Lanthimos' film returns to life thanks to the scientist Dr. Godwin Baxter. Initially naive, Bella seeks to explore the surrounding world, albeit under Baxter's protection. Eager to see more, she escapes with Duncan Wedderburn, a nimble and licentious lawyer embarking on a journey across continents. Freed from the prejudices of her time, Bella demands equality and liberation. Makeup and hairstyle: Poor Things. Golda, it's an Israeli film by director Guy Natif, is set in 1973 during the Yom Kippur War. Israeli Prime Minister Golda Meir faces an extremely crucial decision. Other nominees include Maestro, Oppenheimer, and Society of the Snow, as discussed earlier. Production design: Barbie, Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, Napoleon. In this, the underrated work by Ridley Scott starring Joaquin Phoenix, the production design is exceptional. Napoleon tells the story of Bonaparte's arduous journey to power through the prism of his fluctuating relationship with his lifelong love, Josephine. Film editing: Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, The Holdovers, Poor Things, Anatomy of a Fall. Pay special attention to this film. The husband of the popular writer Sandro Voyer is found dead with a head wound. Was it a terrible accident, suicide, or someone's malicious intent? Unpleasant details about the couple's life emerge, making Sandra the prime suspect, with her visually impaired 11-year-old son as the key witness. Don't expect clear answers from the creators. You'll have to use your brain while watching. Sound: The Creator, Maestro, Oppenheimer, The Zone of Interest. Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1. Once again, AI takes center stage. In this film, Ethan Hunt and his team confront the out-of-control artificial intelligence system entity, posing a threat to humanity. Original song: The Fire Inside for Flaming Hot. A biographical drama by Eva Longoria, telling the story of Richard Montanus, a janitor at Frito-Lay who invents a new spicy snack.
They would think it could stop you, but there's no stopping you.
I'm Just Ken for Barbie, a hit song written by Mark Ronson.
I'm just Ken, anywhere else I'd be 10.
It Never Went Away, American Symphony.
It never went away, the feeling's just the same.
Wajaja for Killers of the Flower Moon, a song in the Osage language used in the film's final scene. What Was I Made For Barbie. Billie Eilish performs this track, written like many others with her brother Phineas for the film Barbie.
Something I'm made for.
Original score: American Fiction, Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. In 1969, Indiana Jones, the legendary archaeologist teaching at a New York university, prepares for retirement after losing his family. He condemns the US for recruiting Nazi scientists in the space race against the USSR. Among them is former Nazi Jürgen Waller, working at NASA, seeking an ancient artifact, the Archimedean dial, to alter the course of World War II. Indiana Jones sets out to prevent this, seeking help from his bold niece Helena Shaw. Despite this film not receiving much appreciation from audiences and critics, it failed to recoup its budget in the box office. Visual effects. Godzilla -1. After World War II, Godzilla attacks Japan, a symbol of nuclear catastrophe. His destructive actions cause chaos and fear in Tokyo, leaving the military and civilians powerless. Godzilla, created from the aftermath of nuclear horrors, becomes a metaphor for the Japanese experience of the atomic bomb and the constant fear associated with it. Also among the nominees, The Creator, Mission Impossible, Dead Reckoning Part 1, Napoleon, and Guardians of the Galaxy. Volume 3. Barely settling on oblivion, the Guardians of the Galaxy face an attack from Adam Warlock, a superpowered being created by his mother and the High Priestess of the Sovereign Aisha. In the battle, Nebula manages to defeat Adam, but Rocket sustains serious injuries. The Guardians cannot heal him due to a built-in death chip created by OrgCorp. They embark on a journey to the company's headquarters in search of the deactivation code. It's a beautiful and emotionally dramatic story, although it's worth noting that the audience did not warmly receive the Guardians in this nomination during the announcement of nominees. Actress in a leading role, Annette Bening for the lead role in Naiad, as mentioned earlier. Lily Gladstone is also nominated for her excellently portrayed role as Molly in Killers of the Flower Moon. While not particularly popular before, this role has the potential to make waves at the Oscars this year. Sandra Huller for Anatomy of a Fall, Carey Mulligan for Maestro. Mulligan was last nominated in this category in 2021 for her outstanding performance as Cassandra in Promising Young Woman, but unfortunately did not secure the victory then. Perhaps this time will be different. Emma Stone for her role in Poor Things. The competition is indeed quite serious. Actor in a leading role, Colman Domingo for Rustin. While not the strongest film, Colman's performance is genuinely commendable. The movie revolves around Bayard Rustin, a leader in the civil and social freedoms movement in the mid-20th century USA. In 1963, Rustin initiated and organized the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom, a peaceful protest led by Martin Luther King Jr. and A. Philip Randolph. Also nominated in this category are Paul Giamatti for The Holdovers, Jeffrey Wright for American Fiction, Cillian Murphy for Oppenheimer, and Bradley Cooper for the lead role in Maestro. The film focuses on the creative work and personal life of the renowned American composer Leonard Bernstein, who popularized classical music and conducted many leading orchestras worldwide. At its core is Bernstein's encounter with a budding Costa Rican actress, Felicia Montealegre, at a party in 1946. Despite presenting themselves as the ideal couple to society, in reality, Leonard, with the interest beyond women, brings much suffering to his wife. Essentially, it's a story of a love triangle, him, her, and his incredible success. Enduring such a third wheel in a relationship is a challenge not everyone can handle. After A Star is Born, this is Cooper's second film directed by him. He is prominently credited as the director, writer, and producer. The film may seem excessively prolonged, but almost everything here is truly exquisite. Directing: Justin Triet for Anatomy of a Fall, Martin Scorsese with Killers of the Flower Moon, Christopher Nolan, Oppenheimer, Yorgos Lanthimos, Poor Things, and Jonathan Glazer with The Zone of Interest. Best Picture: Anatomy of a Fall. You already know something about this film. Also my favorite, Killers of the Flower Moon, a profound film by Martin Scorsese with a budget of $200 million, which unfortunately couldn't recoup its costs globally. After the end of World War I, Ernest Burkhardt, a former military chef, arrives in Oklahoma. He heads to a large Osage Indian reservation that suddenly became wealthy due to the discovery of oil on their lands. In this setting, his uncle William Hale, known as the King, a friend of the Indians and a significant figure in the community, convinces Ernest to propose to Molly Kyle, a young woman from a prosperous Indian family. The plan is for the land rights of Molly's family to eventually transfer to Burkhardt, but of course, ultimately to Uncle Hale himself. To achieve this, essentially, Molly, her mother, and her sisters need to die. The story explores the darkest vices of humanity: cowardice, envy, laziness, greed, and malice. It's clearly not the best work by both Scorsese and DiCaprio, but still worthy of being presented at the Oscar ceremony. Oppenheimer, a mind-blowing film that has captivated audiences worldwide. During World War II, Colonel Leslie Groves from the USA assigns Robert Oppenheimer, a talented physicist, to lead the scientific part of the Manhattan Project. The entire industrial might and advanced technologies of the country are directed towards creating nuclear weapons to outpace Nazi Germany in developing mass destruction weapons based on splitting the atomic nucleus. Oppenheimer successfully tests the world's first nuclear bomb, bringing the war closer to an end. However, despite this success, the scientist is tormented by moral doubts since his invention is capable of posing a threat to the destruction of all humanity. Next, Poor Things, The Zone of Interest. American Fiction. The Holdovers, Maestro, and Past Lives. The main character, Nora, has been in love with her best friend since childhood. However, their connection was severed when the girl left her hometown. She got married, became a writer, and now lives in New York. One day, Nora's peace is disrupted by a social media message. Her first love appears on the horizon after 20 years. Now they have to spend a week together and figure out who they are to each other. And finally, Barbie. Simple and stereotypical Barbie leads her ideal life in the luxurious pink world called Barbieland. Her days are filled with changing outfits, beach vacations, fun with other Barbies, and ending with a lively dance party. In this peaceful and positive atmosphere, her beloved Ken looks like nothing more than an addition to her life. But one day, thoughts of death creep into Barbie's mind and her usual high-heeled feet suddenly become flat. To understand what's happening and return to the ordinary plastic world, Barbie is forced to enter the real world and find her girl owner. Ken follows her in this quest, unable to imagine his life without his doll idol. These are the nominees this year for the 96th Academy Awards for Achievements in Cinema in 2023, scheduled for March 10th, 2024. There will be many innovations, and we will learn about all of them in March.